Good morning, traders. Are you guys ready to get back into the hot seat and get into the green? Let's find out what we can get to today. It might be a little bit of a pullback day or maybe a little bit of a chop. Be careful out there, team. Let's find out right here on Live Trading.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
All right. I see you Tuppy Tup fans out there. We'll definitely talk a little bit about Tupperware coming up. Let's bring on the boys here. We got Ryan Faloona. We got Nick Brown in the house. How we doing out there, boys? It's good to see you guys. And you guys ready for another market day?
Of course.
Ready. Starting from behind today.
Starting from behind, Ryan. What happened there, my friend?
I got absolutely smoked on TJTX, which I told you guys about yesterday.
Oof.
Let's start with a lesson on what not to do. How about that?
Okay. Well, one thing that I would say before you get to the lesson of what not to do, I think one thing's very important, right? Traders is always be fully transparent with yourself. As you see in Ryan being fully transparent today. I think one of the things that a lot of traders do is when they start losing, they almost hide from their losses. This is what we don't want to do. We want to learn from our mistakes and actually improve. Right. This is one thing that you'll always see Ryan talk about. And his famous quote, I still say we need a shirt with this. 2% better every day. That's what's more important than any loss, right? Is how can I make improvements so that this situation doesn't happen again? Let's go to it, Ryan. What you got?
All right. So TJTX in here from just about $20 in terms of the entry price. Didn't have a ton of it because I knew that this was a binary event. I tell you all the time about how dangerous binary events can be. And in biotechs, that is magnified 10x. This stock could have gone to 30. Instead, it went to 12 from 20. So I took nearly a 50% haircut. I'm down 40% on this position overnight. Just really, really bad. There's one of the drugs that they have, Briumvi. I'm probably not even pronouncing it right. Channel checks have been that this is great. It's actually outperforming. In the earnings report this morning, they list that it is outperforming. It's up 100% year over year sales. The CFO, who seemed really kind of upset on part of the call, it was CFO, maybe I can't remember which executive it was, basically said that Wall Street changed the estimates 2 days ago. Everything looked good going into this. Everything looked good going into this. 2 days ago, estimates changed. Number comes out. This thing's absolutely destroyed. So I'm starting today from minus several $1,000s, and I'm going to make sure that this does not try to bleed into some of the other trades that I'm making. This basically wipes out 2 weeks of work that I've been doing, growing the account just like that overnight. So if you're gonna trade these things, if you're gonna trade binary events, understand that there is a downside that can actually happen here. It's not all good stuff. You can absolutely get hurt, and that's exactly what happened to me. So unsure what I'm gonna do with this today. See if it bounces here when the market opens. If this thing trades down, I'm just gonna take the loss and move on.
And that's just how it happens, right? And I think that the key to always is just learning how we can do and get better, right? And I think that one of the things is find what works for you. Like for me, I know that if I try to trade biotechs, I probably end up in the same shoes that Ryan's in this morning, right? And I've seen it happen to me plenty of times. So I get to this point where I don't even play a lot of earnings also because of this too. You guys saw me earlier in the year. I got wrecked on Burlington, and then it went down like 100 points. It's like that's how it can happen, team. And I think that what we need to always do is try to get to our best plays, right? The best quality plays. Try to stay in those high quality names, and that's going to help us get to success, right? When we play those risky names, we're just asking to get hit. And that's why we always want to do what? Not play all our eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
That's easily a way to get wrecked. And
And
I've gotten wrecked
I
like that
did
in the
say
past.
that yesterday. I did say that yesterday. I said that I took this smaller than I would normally take a position. I knew the risk going in. I knew that this was a potential, but everything that I had read, everything that I had gone over, everyone that I had talked to had good things to say, and this is the result.
Yeah, and the
So
truth here
it is
is, like
what
you
it is.
said, it's not necessarily your outlook. It's not necessarily that the drug wasn't selling. It's more now analysts' outlook that literally ruined the trade, and that's how quickly trades can get ruined. Doesn't matter if you have the best story. Doesn't matter if you have the best technicals. Because I saw the technicals, they didn't look bad, especially on the weekly chart.
Nope.
So can't blame you on that, Ryan. It is what it is. We'll
It is
shake
what
it
it
off.
is.
We'll get back to the market.
Down
Right.
another dollar since we started talking about it.
Hey, it happens, my friend. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look here at what else is going on in the market. I'm going to go ahead and share my charts right quick. Then we can maybe take a look at some other smaller names that are moving on this morning. I know Nick has some news, so I'm going to be really quick here and try to flow through. BJ still have this one. Going to look for it to get back above 66.75. Yesterday, it was up there towards the close to 66.66. So let it get to 67. I'm looking for a push closer towards 68 and 69 to take majority of it off here on BJ's whole club sales. XOM took some really great profits yesterday, and look what we did. We closed back above the trend line. Now I'm looking for that to hold around the 106 today. As long as it holds 106, I'm looking great in ExxonMobil for me. I'm at 103.27. I also got PXD. We'll look for oil to continue higher. I could see PXD pulling back to maybe 222s, but I don't see anything under 220 on PXD. If that does happen, I'll just take my gain and run. Charge point is one that I'm looking for this to keep running, get up there towards 9. Stocks like this have been pushing, so I'm looking for them. LAZR is a simple stock also that I'm looking for a nice little push above 750s. We'll see what happens on that one. I got VAC. Also, I've talked about this one yesterday. Started to get a little bit of a lift, but not really the biggest lift. And with Marriott's numbers this morning, it doesn't look really good. Happy that I took the Hyatt gain yesterday, as Hyatt already coming back down. Yesterday took those gains. So we'll see if Marriott and some of the lodging comes down right now. It isn't looking good in the earnings reports, and a lot of stocks that had high expectations, high bars, getting hit even though they beat their expectations. So keep an eye out on those types of stocks. That's going to do it for my swing trade outlook. Like always, you guys can keep up with all the action on Start Swing Trade, and mention if there's any stock that you guys want me to talk a little bit more about, I can always go back to it. Now kicking it over, do you want to take a look at some of the smaller names you got, Ryan? Oh, you're on mute, my friend.
You broke up there for a sec, so I thought we actually lost you. Yeah, I thought we actually lost you there. Yeah, well, so the other thing here is I did take a new trade. Let's go to the Moomoo. I did take a new trade in the Moomoo account. That is also down. So like I said, the hits just keep on coming. Took FIXX yesterday. It's had a really strong day. Actually punched up to about 145, just short of it, 144. Came back in, closed near the highs, had a strong after hours. So thought that this one might gap and move here today. Took 150 shares of this. Sorry about my bird. Rough morning over here for me. Sorry, folks. So still in this, only down a little bit. In fact, if we go to the other tab here, you can see I'm really only down about $5 in terms of actual loss. When last time we talked about kind of keeping these losses small, we talked anywhere between $8 and $12 as a potential max loss. So I'm not even there yet. So I'm going to give this a little bit of room to breathe today, see if FIXX actually moves. That's for the small account. Let's go back to the movers tool here and look at some of the stocks that are moving here today. We did talk about Tupperware. Tupperware is absolutely going to be in play again here today. We're gapping up here in the morning. I expect another move similar to what we did yesterday. Ideally, if we pull back from the open and then catch and move up, that should give us a little bit better trade. That's what happened yesterday. That's one of the things we're going to be watching for here today. Remember, the story here with TUP is going to be high short interest in terms of percent of float short, as well as days to cover. And this is something that I think some short traders don't look at enough. The higher the days to cover, the more you're going to get these multi-day squeezes. Anything over 5 is something worth looking at. Over 10, better still. So Tupperware, definitely one of the stocks on watch here today. Got a couple more here. ABVC, I feel like we've traded this one before. It's another bio name here. This one popping. Went as high as about just under $6. Came back in. We're under the VWAP now. Watch for volume to actually retake this VWAP and move higher. Might be able to get a scalp play there. AMSC, this is American Superconductor. This had a huge move out of the gate here. This went all the way up to 25. Now it's really bled back. We're about at 16 right now. American Semiconductor shares are trading higher after claims of a new superconductor from a group of physicists. So if you have Benzinga Pro, if you want to go in here, that article is actually in the news feed here. That would be right in here. So I can actually paste this in the chat. If any of you folks are interested in this, go ahead and read that article. Anyway, that's why this stock is up here today. We'll see what happens when the market actually opens here. Looks like my movers tool crashed. That's cool. Not sure why that took place. Okay, let me try refreshing here real quick. An error occurred. This is usually temporary. Let me know if that post made it to the chat. Okay, mover still not working here, but here's the other one I wanted to talk about. OCEA is going to be one of them. We did have some news here this morning. Hopefully my thing doesn't crash on me. Oh my goodness. We did have, I don't see it here. Let me see if I can track that down. OCEA moving. We've traded this one before off the relative volume scanner a number of times. This went as high as 622 here this morning and kind of coming back in. I don't have VWAP on this chart, man. I am all sorts of messed up right now. I'm really sorry. Last one here is going to be the mover from yesterday. Then I'm going to turn this over to Nick. SNMP. Now, a number of people, I don't know why this was moving yesterday. I found no news on this. This looks like just one of those really kind of crazy, super low float things that just got ran after hours. Look for this to move here again today. This a little bit too risky for me to even mess around with those. So I'll probably avoid this entirely. Nick, I don't know if I'm going to be able to drive for you, my man. Okay. I will give it a shot, but no promises. I'm having all types of problems this morning.
It's okay. If I do want to do an update on the one story that I brought yesterday, just because this is how journalism works and always try to be transparent and factual with everybody. So there was a story yesterday out of the FT basically saying that the SEC asked Coinbase to halt trading in all other cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin prior to suing the exchange. Per spokespeople with the SEC and Coinbase, per a new Blockworks story yesterday afternoon, two quotes that stick in that story saying from Coinbase, the SEC did not at any point request that Coinbase to list any specific assets. And the SEC spokesperson told the Blockworks reporter, Catherine Ross, quote, SEC staff does not ask companies to delist crypto assets. So I do want to just say, I do apologize for bringing you that news if that caused any Bitcoin or Coinbase trading. But so as far as we know, the FT story is false. So we're just going to leave it at that. If you could pull up BP earnings, not sure if you will be able to, ticker BP, EPS 89 cents, fallen below expectations of $1.21. Sales came in at 48.54 billion. Expectation was for 54 billion. And they announced an interim dividend of 7.270 cents per ordinary share, an increase of 10%. Caterpillar, that's a Dow component, ticker CAT, earnings, adjusted EPS $5.55. Expectation was for 5.54. Revenue 17.3 billion, estimates for 15.65 billion. Adjusted operating income 3.68 billion, estimates for 2.98 billion. Merck, ticker MRK, adjusted loss a share $2.06. Estimate was for a loss of $2.20. Sales came in at 15.04 billion. Estimates for 14.45 billion. Adjusted gross margin 76.6%. Estimates for 77.3%. Sales came in, sees full year sales 58.68 to 59.68 billion. They saw 57.78 billion to 58.98 billion, and they still see full year adjusted gross margin about 77%. Estimates for 77.3%. Ryan, I do know we're open, so we'll circulate and we'll get through earnings throughout the show today.
Okay, sounds good. That CAT, good breakout chart there on the daily as well. Taking a look at some of these other ones that we were watching. AMSC, this looks like this is trying to bounce here.
Someone saying in the chat, SNMP halted up.
Yep, that wouldn't be a surprise either. Halted up 1348 looks like that halt price. We'll monitor that when it opens, I'm sure. ABVC. This actually moving pretty nicely here. I also carried SQQQ. That's, of course, up today, but not a whole lot. We'll see how that goes as it keeps moving. Bring ABVC up here. Here's TUP. So TUP's pulling. Remember, this is what we wanted. Let's see where TUP actually stops. So man, TUP, this is wild. This is a wild move here. Sorry, I'm so quiet, but this is fast. TUP down big. I'm not in this. I'm watching, waiting for this to settle. Looked like it was going to try to bounce back through 5 and then just got smoked. More sales here, more downside on TUP. Yeah, Dan, I'm with you there. High a day yesterday, 479. Let's see what it does there. It went right there, right out of the open. Did it print 479s? I don't know if it printed it on this move, but it went right to that spot. Crazy moves all over the place, indeed.
I was gonna say AMSC is up over 60% during right now. There's a lot of these meme stocks coming back, and along with it being summer, Ryan, there's so much volatility that you're gonna really have to be careful, especially not only here, but it's summer and less people in the market. So one move from somebody could really make a difference.
This is TUP here is trying to bounce, but I don't know. First of all, if you're going to trade this here, 479 got to be your spot of no resistance, right? That if it breaks that, it's likely going to go lower. You can trade it against that in terms of a support level, but man, I think if it breaks that, you gotta get out. We'll see if TUP can bounce here. QBTS, Jeff D's, good to see you this morning, by the way. We'll pull that up here in a sec. Let's see. QBTS. Yeah, QBTS maybe here. TUP bouncing, by the way. Let's see if that 5 spot cracks and maybe gives it some more here. Now TUP, okay, as it's pulling off that spot. The interesting thing here is TUP has really been rejected twice at that 5 spot on the attempt to reclaim it. So careful. Man, this is trading way wilder than it was the last few days. Still watching this. Sorry, I'm so focused on one stock here. Been kind of a crazy morning. TUP kind of hanging out here. TUP maybe moving lower. So I'm gonna go through the list here real quick. EQRX, didn't see this one at all. Here's Yell. So here's a bankruptcy. Oh my God, Yell, the bankruptcy Ripsy stock going for highs again. This actually took out yesterday's intraday high here on Yell. Yell going higher here. Wow. ACHR being called out by the chat. Let's take a look at ACHR. That did move. Nice comeback here to the VWAP on ACHR. Up still trying here. Let's take a look at ACHR. You guys are trading Uber. EQRX is a buyout. Okay. SNMP, did that resume? Looks like, yeah, halted. Looks like resumed and halted again. This is not moving as much, though. Wonder what's going on here. Yeah, Sydney, I don't know. I don't know on SNMP. Glad I'm avoiding that. Given the rest of my morning, I'm glad I'm not trading that. Yell halted, okay.
Hey, Ryan, I was just going to say Ford is restarting their F-150 Lightning production. That just crossed the wires minutes ago.
Is Ford reacting to that? Yeah, it sure is. Ford at highs here. EBS popping here. Good call, Becca. God, that was fast. EBS, this is an interesting one. Right at VWAP here, too. They brought in a bid on EBS here. This one a little bit interesting. What was the news on this? Nothing. Looks like just trading. I didn't see anything, at least recent, to account for that spike. Here's Rigetti from yesterday. How's this doing? Wow, we had a big pre-market, and we're bouncing here on Rigetti. Look for this to maybe close the VWAP down on Rigetti. And lots of stuff. I'm not seeing a setup that I want to jump on. Ford is just really strong here. Nikola moving again. You know, the one thing, Jeff, that I'm thinking about Nikola is I would at some point, I mean, this stock's above 3 now. I got to say that at some point, this stock's probably going to do a raise. I got to think that that makes sense. So just be careful if you're going to trade Nikola, especially if you're going to hold this overnight. Got to think that they're getting ready for a raise here. ESPR at highs. Nikola's still. Here, let me change. Let me make this a little bit easier to see here, folks. Sorry. There we go. OCEA, this has been another disappointment this morning. OCEA, if this bounces, we can catch that. Yeah, you got Jeff day trading, Nikola. I think that's the smart move if you're going to buy it at all, just to day trade it. Night scope.
All right.
Top moving now through the VWAP here pretty heavily. So top going. Crazy stuff out here this morning.
Tech pulling back on me. I'm thinking about maybe cutting it today if it doesn't bounce here. Looks good, but the daily chart just pulled back a little bit too much today.
God, top, look at this. Look at this pull. Look at this pull on top. 546 pulled back almost a total dollar. Holy smokes.
That's an up 4 failed attempt. These are the ones that I feel like catches the most traders because it's an up 4 attempt. And I think that this is classic on like the, hey, we're going to make it look like it's going to break out there, and then we're going to pull it all the way back to support. all the way back to support, and then you're just stuck right now as a buyer, right? Like say even if bought 5, you're feeling bad right now. You're like, ah, shit, I was just up 40 cents.
Yep.
We'll see what happens there on top, but
and remember when it was coming back that first time, it got rejected at 5 a couple of times.
yep.
So let's see if
Right
it goes. This went right through 5 on the first attempt here. No problem. Up there's a little bit of a pull.
I think you're going to start seeing 5 act as resistance now. So that's where it gets a little bit hard because you're thinking it's coming back through that 5,
Yep.
and then it fails at that 5. And so these are the attempts that I'm showing you right here. So there's that up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3, down 3. It looks like it's going to create this big breakout through the 550s and just get stuffed. And then that wick. Oh, that wick, man. Wicks can be tricks. We'll see what happens there in Tupperware. Keep your eyes also on other short squeeze names, right? See how those continue to do on the day. See if they can get up. See if they can get their squeeze. LAZR.
Yell is open and went higher. Unbelievable. SNMP is open, is in this $13 range. I don't even know how to trade SNMP.
SMNP.
SN Sandy, November, Michael, Papa.
Got it. Actually like it off the, but you have to go back to the support around the 12 or the.
Well, look at what
1180.
this thing did yesterday, Mitch. Look at yesterday's chart.
Okay.
It's just kind of a joke.
Yeah, it's just liquidity. Where's the volume on this? Or what volume is on this? That's a better question. Oh, this is trade by appointment only. Yeah, you can't trade this, guys. Like
Yeah.
you got to be careful with a stock like this, right? So I talk about this all the time. I want to see.
I'm not trading this. I just read it
Yeah.
from the chat. That's all.
Yeah, I want to see daily liquidity. This stock rarely trades over like 300 shares. This thing's traded 300 shares one day, man. And now it does have some volume expansion, but if that volume dies out at any point, it gets so hard to move this thing. So you need a lot of volume to move this thing, and there's not much volume coming in and out. And so the problem that can happen here is you can get stuck on a name like this. And you also got to be looking at if you could size up in a name like this. Can you get maybe 10, 20, 100 shares on a name like this? Yes. But you go about this with 1,000, 5,000 shares, 10,000 shares, you're going to have some fighting to do with liquidity. It's not really a stock that I would be trying to trade here. The setup looks good, but that's the problem there, the volume. Rigetti.
That had a good day yesterday.
That's
Top,
also
by the way, through 5 here.
I think today is one of those days where we could see a little bit of some up and
immediately
down
yanked
action,
back
up and
through
down,
5.
up and down, up and down.
Yeah. Speaking of up and down, Mitch, that's exactly what we're getting here on top. And it looks like it's trying to use the VWAP as resistance, not necessarily that $5 level. It's punching through it, but it's stopping right above it at VWAP.
Yeah, look where the closes are.
QUBT.
Last
This
like
does look good.
last 1 minute candle, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 all candles closing below 5, but making attempted wicks above it. Let's see if we can get a candle to actually close above that 5. That's what you want to be looking for now. It'd be looking to see a Tupperware come back. So man, that is a fast move though, from 540 to 5.
Yeah.
480s. That's a wicked move to handle. That's about what, 13%, almost 14%, 13.5% move in just about like 2 minutes.
Smoke Tuna calling QUBT. I actually kind of like this right now. It looks like QUBT trying to close the distance here to the VWAP. If it does this, we'll see if it can move through it. That's one of the things that we're struggling with is when we get to the VWAP, we're not really seeing a lot of those pops through, just on a couple of them. Maybe QBT is one of them. Let's see. We're about, what, 8 cents away here from the VWAP. I got VWAP about 10 cents away. I got VWAP about the same on both brokers. So we'll see. QUBT is an interesting setup right here. Better buy was obviously right around this 150. I'd be curious where you got this, Tuna.
I think one of the most vital stocks for the overall stock market for me today is watching Microsoft, and I'm watching that like a hawk right now to see if it wants to come back. And I think it's so important. I'll show you guys why I'm looking at this. And I think that this could really come back here if it comes back through like kind of 338s, 340s. Right now we're trading at 335, right? And so you can see this kind of downtrend, but if it can come back up here and close back towards like 340, 345, it would look like a bullish engulfing candle on a way back after a pullback towards support. So it's not at a bad level here. You have the 50 moving average. Is it going to hold and reclaim that 50 moving average, or will it get hit there? That's 335.68. Right now, you're trading at 335s. And where does it struggle right now? At 63s, at 65s, at 57s. That's what it's 335.68s are making sense right now. That's the 50 moving average on the daily. All right. AMD making moves. Of course, it has earnings tonight. We'll see what happens on AMD.
I was just going to say, watch that one because that's got earnings after the close here today.
And we'll bring you the highlights tomorrow morning right here, live trading.
There we go.
AMD, we'll see if it gets back above the 114s and holds at 114 today. This is one that I was talking about at 110 earlier when we were down here multiple times. You had all the opportunity to grab it at 110. Now, if you're going out and trying to get AMD today, be careful because you're going to get it on the earnings day. This is why I try to get stocks before they go into earnings, not as the day they go into earnings, because it can be difficult today to get the big lift. It usually comes really towards the end of the day. So just be careful out there. AMD is going higher, but we'll see if it can really get that lift today.
You watching
Microsoft
AI?
is the one that I'm watching.
What do you think about tonight's earnings? What's your expectations here?
I mean, AI is just going to keep going into the AI bubble ends. And so for right now, I think that's something that you don't try to fight. You try to either play to the upside or you just kind of wait to see it really collapse. Nothing that I would be playing right now. I do see multiple resistance in that chart right above it. So if you're looking for the 42.60 break, can't blame you for that. But it's kind of just stuck in between here. There's resistance above it and it hasn't been able to get through. If you do see Microsoft take off today to the upside, yeah, I could see AI also taking off to the upside. So that's why I'm keeping an eye on Microsoft. But if Microsoft goes to like 330s today, oh, timber will get a little bit of a pullback. Netflix has been coming back. And of course, Microsoft has been the only like big report to get, keep getting smacked. Tesla also, right? Like, let's see Tesla go into the green. Let's see if Microsoft can go in the green. This actually looks ugly on Tesla's daily. It looks like a rejection from each time it's coming back there towards around 268. First rejection was 270s. Now you're getting that 268 rejection. It could be another rejection a little bit later towards like kind of 265, 266, and then eventually wiping down through the 250s. Doesn't look that good, at least on those. And I think that this is okay to get the pullbacks, right? I'm actually looking on pullbacks on names like this. On Microsoft, it would make sense for us to get, a little bit of a pullback, right? Let's say where we are right now, it's about 8% down from where we were at the highs, 9% down from the highs. And I'm looking for what? Like a 10 to 15% correction in the market. If I can get a 10 or 15% correction in some of these leading names, I'm going to be looking to buy the dip and play them right back up. Jotes data at 10 a.m. Be on the lookout for that. We'll see what happens there. COS chart acting up, Robert. Just close it down, maybe reopen it. But
that's a good thing to say. My things was acting up earlier. I couldn't tell if it was TOS or if it was Google Chrome or whatever. I actually updated my graphics driver and that seemed to fix it. Also restarted the computer.
XOM starting to go right back up there. Oxy looking good here. Going to keep an eye out on this, but I really like the daily levels on Oxy to really start making a push here towards 63.50s. I can hold off 62.50s today and kind of keep it tight to see if we're going to make like kind of just a day trade kind of swing trade here. This would be kind of a quicker swing trade. I try to be in and out of it just to get it up there towards the resistance. We'll see what happens. Chevron is one more that I want a little bit more of. That's already pulled back a little bit here. Let me see if I can grab it here. I actually like this off the 162.
QBTS, by the way, but really quick, I'll go back to you, Mitch.
Oh, you're
QBTS
good.
breaking down here. It looked like this was going to try to move through VWAP and maybe go higher here. Really, really weak and breaking down here. QBTS. The other one to watch on this is QUBT. That looked like it had a spot at about 152 or 155. Let me see if I can pull that one up here. These like to move together. That's QUBT. Yeah, this spot right in here, this 155 spot. We'll see if it can regain that and take VWAP. But these quantum names, strong early, a little bit weaker now. We'll see where they end up going. Mitch, going back to you here real quick.
You're good, my friend. I'm trying to get Chevron on the pullback. I just put an order out at 162.60s. But that's just to get the little starter fill. I would love to get back down to 162.50s and then risk off 162s. I could buy here at 163s and risk a full point, but I'm looking for a little bit of pullback. Of course, I already have exposure to oil. So one thing is for certain, if I am going for more oil names, I have to get them on pullbacks because it's just going to increase my chance of getting caught in one if I keep buying the highs, right? That's what I'm trying not to do in this name, but I still like it on the daily chart overall. I feel like it's lagging. And you can see here a long-term trend line that it's trying to break. I always look for long-term trend lines for breakage and then what? A little pullback to it. So you can see here recently we broke it, we came back, and now we're getting above, and now we're holding the pullbacks to around the 161, 162 area. This is looking really good for me for a setup for Chevron. And of course, this stock has one of the biggest buybacks out on Wall Street. So who knows when they put that to work, right? If they put that to work, we'll see right here if this really starts to work here. Chevron actually looks pretty interesting there on weekly, dailies, monthly candles. And when all these candles add up and all these week timeframes add up, I definitely want to be paying attention to stocks.
Can I make a comment on that? Because I think that's interesting you say buybacks, because have you seen this quarter? We have not had a lot of buybacks. What is up with buybacks?
Yeah, they're slowing down. I think the big thing is, Nick, they still have access to them, right? They can either add to those buybacks or they can just keep having what they have available to them. And of course, the buybacks don't always have to be filled, right? I mean,
Right.
And I think that's one thing to keep in mind, right? As long as they still have access to that, then they're pretty good. A lot of these companies still have access to a lot of money that they can go after if they want.
Well, I was going to say, because B of A writes this morning that buybacks slow down on track for the weakest quarter since COVID. It says B of A corporate client buybacks as a percent of S&P 500 average market cap by quarter, 2010 to 3Q23 annualized to date. And it's the lowest since COVID. I didn't even know about that. Just because you would hear a lot of the banks you think would do buybacks, or these oil companies that would do buybacks. I mean, a lot of these banks, we've heard from them that a dividend in a buyback is going to be coming, and they're looking to aim Q3, and Q4 end of this year.
Something to watch out for. We'll see if these kind of come into play. I mean, so many companies did this, right? And there's some big ones out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mitch, can you throw up a chart of Pfizer? We didn't get to those earnings, and I think those.
Let's do it.
Because I said we'll cycle through the earnings through the show. So Pfizer this morning reported earnings, adjusted EPS 67 cents. Estimate was for 58 cents. Revenue was 12.73 billion. Estimates for 13.43 billion. They narrow their 2023 revenue guidance. They still see full year adjusted EPS to $3.25 to $3.45, and the estimate is for $3.32. They see full year revenue 67 billion to 70 billion. They saw 67 billion to 71 billion. It just goes to show that Merck is with the same deal, and Pfizer and all these drug companies they're going to eventually be talking with the government in September with all these drug prices and trying to lower costs. I'm not exactly sure if that's going to eat into margins and eat into the revenue. So we're going to have to really watch that into Q3 and Q4. Actually, Q4, whenever that really ramps up.
Pfizer bouncing back today. Of course, there was other drugs names that also reported. Can you give us the outlook on Merck? Did you already do that one?
I was going to say, yeah, Merck reported better than expected earnings on the top and bottom line. They beat. They see full year sales 58.68 billion to 59.68 billion. So they're raising the guidance there. And even for full year adjusted gross margins, just a tad bit below expectations. They're looking for 77%, estimates for 77.3%. So I'm calling that in line. But Merck, if I had to pick between Pfizer and Merck, I would actually pick Merck just because they beat on top and bottom line. And they even raised the guidance, where Pfizer, they beat on EPS, they missed on revenue, but they're narrowing their guidance just a tad bit. But if I had to pick between Merck and Pfizer, I would pick Merck.
There you go. I would do it too. I said that on pre-market prep. And the big thing for me is, at the end of the day, the long-term trend on Merck is holding on the 9-month pullback EMA outlook. And as long as that can keep holding, you're looking all right. And of course, if this gets right back below 100, you start to break trend. That's where you get to be a little bit careful. Pfizer's been on these huge monthly pullbacks and could eventually bounce. But where's Pfizer going to go? I say maybe on the upside outlook, maybe you got, I think, best case scenario, $50. And so that's best case scenario, right? Worst case scenario, this stock is back down towards like 20s and 30s. And then now you're back into kind of 2015, 2016 numbers. Do I want a stock that kind of lost its value from 2022 and it lost like 3 or 8 years of work? No, I don't want to be going into stocks like that. That's just the way I think. But hey, we'll see what happens there. Don't go all in on China. Yeah,
don't go all in on anything.
That's where we got to really be careful in the long run. Like, I like BABA and I don't mind trading it, but I think this is kind of something that I'd be in and out of. And I think it could continue even to climb, but I'd be taking gains along the way just in case you get negative news coming from Taiwan, of course. And of course, this weekend we got recent developments in that, and the Biden administration sending Taiwan 345 million in weapons, I think was a really big deal. Most people are not talking about it, but I can tell you, I think it's massive. Catch that this weekend, Nick?
Yes, of course. I was going to add to that point. Secretary Raimondo, I believe, is trying to make a trip to China in August, either some half of this year, just because tensions, Bloomberg is reporting this, and they said this yesterday, that the tensions are simmering down between the two countries. And so when she goes over there, they're really going to talk about the chips coming in with exporting and importing materials. So this meeting is going to be highly watched just because of what President Biden called Xi Jinping. I think he called him a dictator, if I'm not mistaken. And so that really spiked tensions. And so they were waiting for a pullback in the heated war. And so they're thinking this is going to be the right time to talk about this and start discussions again. But, then we have Putin in Saudi Arabia said over the weekend, I did catch this. I don't know if you caught this, but the Journal was reporting Saudi Arabia is going to be hosting peace talks for Ukraine and Russia war. So that's going to be a development to watch.
All right, guys, as I'm starting to see Microsoft not being able to hold here and start to come down, the SQQQs seem to be making sense for me right now. And I just see not stocks ripping off. AMD's probably could be the kind of the against the norm today. And that just could be because their earnings are coming. So be careful with that stock if you are looking on the downside. But NVIDIA's coming down here today. Apple's not, it's hanging in there. It's still pretty strong. I think these are trying to get ahead of the earnings. They might run this to 200 before the earnings. So just be careful there. I think we got to watch the Qs right now to see what happens here, right? The Qs are just kind of chopping around, I think. And we need to see if they're going to choose a direction. Are they going to go down through this kind of 381.50s or back above the 382.50s? So there's about a buck wide range right now that I'm looking at. And I want to see it make that move first, because if not, we could keep chopping around in between this. That's what you got to be careful about.
By the way,
I did take Chevron. Just want to mention that. Go ahead, Ryan.
Call from earlier in the chat on EBS. This looking pretty good. We talked about this before. I think this was around VWAP. We yanked beneath VWAP, busted through it, back tested it. This looks like this is going to try 8 here on EBS. This was not one that was on my radar, but several chatters earlier were mentioning this one. So good call, community. On EBS, looks like that one's going here. We're going to attempt to. SNMP, yeah, I'm not even going to look at that one anymore. I don't think there's a trade there. Yell's still ripping higher on news of bankruptcy.
Jolt's
AMSC
coming
really
soon,
breaking
guys.
down.
Jolt's coming in. I'm sure Nick will provide us for.
All right, here we go. Jolt's just hitting the wire. 9.582 million versus the 9.824 million previously. Estimate was for 9.610 million. We're also getting some ISM manufacturing numbers. These are, I believe, for July. Yes, they are 46.4 versus 46. So that's good. And remember, we do have a jobs report Friday. So this is all shedding light towards this jobs report. And expectation is that we're going to see right around 200,000 jobs. And we'll provide the outlook on Thursday since the report is Friday. But just an early outlook, if expectations for Friday, if jobs report comes in higher than expected, hotter than expected, looking around maybe 300, 400,000 jobs, that is going to really make interest rates go up and really tone down the market. As we've seen before, market does not like high interest rates. And so once rates move higher, the market will move lower and vice versa. So we're going to have to really watch the jobs report on Friday and watch wages and how they're doing, unemployment rate. So there's a lot to unpack this week, along with earnings, big tech, Apple, Amazon Thursday. This week isn't slowing down. I'm not slowing down. Live trading isn't slowing down. There's a lot to unfold here.
Deer already bouncing back. Cat with the killer earnings today, and the cat's out the hat. I've been talking about industrials for a while now, and Cat with a new high up there to 283 just keeps ripping on the day. That's actually soaring the XLI higher. So if you're looking for stocks that are going higher, keep your eyes on the XLI and some industrial names as that gets a nice little lift today. Cat getting the lift, Deer getting the lift off of that, Picard getting the lift. Akash had good earnings. That should give Akash the lift also. Akash has been pretty strong already from around 97s up there to 102.50s. I'd be looking for pullbacks on this, but this actually looking really good on the day as it keeps driving higher. You've already had 2 VWAP tries, 3 VWAP tries. So from here on out, I wouldn't really want it to break 100. Wanted to give that next upside move, maybe a pullback to 101 from here, but let's see if it takes the upside through the 103s. American Airlines is going to continue probably the decline. I think airlines declined today overall. I talked about that on pre-market prep. Why? Just because JetBlue coming in and spoiling this. Also, outlook's not looking the best in the airlines overall as you start to get some decline. JetBlue coming back there, but DAL also coming down, UAL coming down. And this is actually pretty good outlook because in the long run, I do want these to come back down so I can get them at cheaper bounce levels. And same thing I'm thinking about the cruise lines today, CCL, RCL. I think they keep coming down today, even RCL. Why? Because NCLH earnings weren't that great, and that's continuing to go down. And this will give us an opportunity probably for some pullback opportunities. As you see, look at this big move back down to the 50 moving average. And then you're going to start seeing, I think, a lot of them start coming back for those moving averages. I could see RCL filling in this gap very easily, at least filling in the gap. I could see that happening, at least for my outlook. A move from 106 to 103 makes sense, and maybe a move back down below 100 and then trying to catch the bounce below 100. We'll see what happens there on RCL. CCL is another one that I'll be looking at. For this to come right back down here. This could come all the way back down, I think, towards like 14 and 13s. So watch out with that one. NCLH is one that I'm definitely looking for pullbacks, but closer towards where I sold it. 17, 1650s, around that level is where I think NCLH goes. I'll kick it to you, Ryan.
I'm just watching a couple of those. Watching Nicola here. This is really
Nicola!
That's really kind of pulling off here.
I don't know how, man. I don't know how the hell this stock gets even another lift, man. That's why it's so frustrating sometimes to think about if the market's illogical or things like that. I've come to the realization I no longer ever want to think that the market is logical. The market is never logical. It's just in and out of logic. And so is it really logical at some point? No, it's just the current environment is matching the fundamentals and technicals. And then sometimes that current environment is not going to focus on that. It's going to focus on different things like PE expansion, and growth outlooks and short interest searching, right? So this is how quickly the market can be flipping back and forth. There's never just one way that the market trades, and that's why the market is so tough for traders out there. If it was just one way, trust me, there'd be a lot of people figuring it out. EKS in the short term, but longer term, very logical. I don't know about that one because, I mean, there's a lot of concern. Let's say if China invades Taiwan, where would this market go? Let's just be honest. And I'm not trying to create fear, but let's just be honest. This market would take huge, huge hit.
Yeah,
We're talking limit down kind of action. So I wouldn't agree with the longer term logical either, but that's just my outlook. Because there's like bubble environments that happen, and it just seems like to me like that whole logical battle is a battle that is never won. Markets aren't logical. Logical means that I could put it on a paper and figure out the math and probably do this repeatedly, like easily. I don't think that's the way it works.
Nicola trying to bounce here after that pull. See where that ends up going.
Policy, that'd be something else. But I agree. Sometimes it does happen. The world adjusts and gets to a new reality. That's how it was in the Russia. That's how it's been in the Russian war. It doesn't even pay attention to the Russian war anymore. At least the market doesn't. All right, looking around, guys. Nicholas pulling back there. What's up with the top? That 5.
How's your Tupperware? You need any new ones?
I actually got new stuff from Costco not long ago, which is kind of funny that Tupperware is now going through this crazy thing. I don't know if it was Tupperware brand though, but it was food storage stuff. Got a whole fresh batch from Costco.
Hey,
Tup
KS.
to me, I'm not really interested until we clear out the sideways formation that we're seeing here on Tup.
You're right there, Paul C. That was one case. And Paul C's talking about, I think an important case here is we shut down the entire economy for 100% for months and we didn't go to crash to zero. That's the truth.
Well, did you see over the weekend that they're warning about a new COVID surge?
Oh, there has been. I think what it is there's been the notovirus really getting an increase. I think that I've heard plenty of people like explain their symptoms of what they've been getting lately, and it's exactly that. But the truth is, I don't think the U.S. is trying to talk about like something like that and put it in the news right now because it's just going to scare a whole bunch of consumers and stuff like that from traveling and spending money. They want us to spend right now, man. Keep this economy going. That's what they want. So I think that's what they continue to do. That will be staying out of the news. I don't think they'll be talking too much about COVID, but yeah, there will be other.
I don't know about that. I'll take the other side. I think if there's a COVID surge, it will have an impact on the drug companies that have created vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, and if they need to create a new vaccine, more people may go out and get it. That may boost their sales. So we'll have to see how it all plays in.
We'll have to see that. I think a lot of people are
just
over the COVID vaccines, no matter what. They're going to take their chances now, and I can't blame them for that either. So we'll see what happens there, right? I think the majority, I think actually used to be on COVID vaccines. I think the majority is actually off the vaccines. Yeah. I would say just majority. You know, I'm just trying to at least keep it to that. Looking around, guys, and what do I see today? I see only one of my positions is green from the open. And that tells me something, right? That tells me what? Mitch, be defensive today. Don't give up gains. Look to see what's getting hit. Things can change. And so right now, I'm thinking about that for my swing trades, right? And I'm really being a little bit protective. So, like, let's say tech, if I lose on this thing, I'm going to lose very, very tiny. I was in the green today and it's coming back really fast. And I got to be careful on names like that. That's this right hand side name. That's going to be showing me that what names like CCJ can be pulling back today. And you see CCJ, quick pullback today. That's where you got to be careful, right? We don't want to give up gains. And a lot of the times that's sometimes seeing the rotation go against me and being really quick to the profits. And so I got to be watching that. Tech, I can't even get the profits today as quickly as it washed out at the open. It was up there towards the open, closer towards like 44. And in the pre-market, it was up at 46. I had this from 43s, right? So I lost 3 points right there towards the open. Got to be careful. Not going to let it break too much below that 43. I have a stop set there for 42.76. But even then, I think that's pushing it. It's more like 42, 43 or 42.80s that I would get out on it. We'll see what happens there. Charge point also pulling back here. This one was looking really good for us. Now it's starting to pull back. A lot of these names that were looking like they wanted to keep going, starting to slow down a little bit as the momentum names slow down. So be careful there. That's another reason why I think you're seeing TUP down today, right? Momentum slowing down a little bit here.
PRTA came back to its VWAP here, tried to bounce a little bit, didn't actually touch the VWAP, but tried to bounce. Watch this through 2 just to see if this gets rolling again. PTRA. I think I mixed that up the first time I said it. PTRA. Cat pushing higher off the back of that news that Nick gave you. That was a gap and go play here this morning. Man, Cat, I would have done better trade than that. Rigetti's trying to bounce off the low.
QUBT. I don't know about all that.
QUBT
all those.
You have it up?
No, yeah. All those are getting hit, man.
Yeah. And like, what was the other one? The other quantum play? QTBS? No, QTBS, I think. QBTS? QBTS? Yeah, there it is.
Quantum Inc.
Yeah, those are both breaking down. They looked like they were going to try to go early, but they immediately caught weakness and they didn't look like they're going anywhere now.
That's why I'd be careful with a name like like QuantumScape that has been making a huge run, right? Eventually, these are going to take a little bit of a pullback. It's definitely some resistance right above towards the 1331s, right? Well, it can get through that today, but it could also just start breaking back down towards this 9 EMA, which is an 1150 move. So we always need to be careful and understand what both sides of the trades are on. That's why I always say, look at both sides. Look at the Qs come right back down. It makes a move like it wants to come to the upside. Now right back down. Microsoft still weak. I've talked about this. I need to see Microsoft recover if I want to see this market recover. And if Microsoft keeps going lower, I think you see some leak. AMD is that case that I think is separate from this. So just be careful. AMD, I do think, could keep going higher. NVIDIA, I'm looking for that to go lower and lead to the downside. Tesla, will that keep leading to the downside? You guys are seeing it here. So one thing that you guys see me doing also is trying my best to just take more swing trades right now and look at the market a little bit more, right? And stop trying to trade like these quick moves so much. And I'm trying to do this a bit more because what my idea really is that I've done now swing trading where I've done pretty good for 2 to 3 years in a row where, really decent profitability there. And I'm really starting to think like, is it that time, Mitch, to really step up to the plate and get to that next level? And I'm really getting to that point where I can see myself next year really taking a chance on swing trading, trying to maybe make it to the point where, yeah, the money that I could be making could be a full-time living, right? And so you guys will see me start to focus more and more on my swing trading action here. I know that I try to do some live trading for you guys, but the truth is the day trading action doesn't get me to that profitability where I feel like I need to size up and keep going. A lot of times on my day trading action, I end up break even or slightly in the green. And slightly in the green doesn't cut it, right? Let's just be honest. And so that's why you guys will see me step up on my swing trading action where I really can push it, where I really see the success. And I know that you guys have probably seen my success on the swing trading action. So I'll be pushing it more and more, especially towards the end of the year, trying to get to the point where I can watch like up to even 12 stocks in my swing trading account. This is where I feel like I used to do like up to 7, and now I'm pushing it. You see me pushing it to 8 to 9. And then eventually I want to get that towards about 12. And of course, also keeping some uncorrelated assets there, not just all in one sector, not just all in one industry, and being able to move with the rotations in the market.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
want to do that too. I want to focus more on swing trading because the day trading just hasn't been all that profitable.
Yeah. And then the
Swing
key is
trading's always been better for me.
yeah, and it just gives me such an ability to not feel so stressed, right?
Yeah.
Like the truth is that you can only handle that stress for so long. And
Yeah.
I feel like day trading a lot of the times, even on this stream, and then that's why I try to take it low, is that I try to keep the stress low. I want you guys to understand if you want to be a really good day trader, that stress level needs to stay low regardless of position size you're doing. And so that's another thing that we'll talk about here is that you day traders out there, if you're feeling like, yeah, this is for you, look at that, right? How's the stress level for you? How's the emotional connection to your trading? Is it that attached? That's when I usually start talking to traders to maybe look at swing trading. It might be the better way to go about it. And I'm always going to be trying to be transparent about that, right? And tell you guys the way that I really think that, at least for me, what could go to that success level. EKS put a little away long term, just saying that's investing. Completely agree. And I think that, yeah, you got to be thinking long term. And it's just about how much you can apply to that, right? Doesn't mean that you need to do big, but I think long term also you need to be thinking about that. Just think about like all the opportunities you had in 2022 when you have a bear market. That's when you need to be thinking long term, right? I think that a lot of traders weren't thinking like that last year. And then they're looking back at stocks like Nvidia, like Meta, and they're like, well, I missed the V bottom. No, the key is, the truth is that you have to find stocks that you want to invest in the long run and think about it in a 5 or 10-year outlook. And yeah, you're not going to be feeling so negative on stocks like Meta and Nvidia when they're down there and getting crushed, right? If anything, you could have been thinking in the long term for Nvidia and been thinking what? Metaverse, things like that, right? Those are all going to need graphic cards, AR, all those things are going to need graphic cards. Like, there's no way that Nvidia is going away. Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
So you take advantage of moments like those downturns in 2022, and you start doing the dollar cost average approach, right?
I do think Nvidia is due for a pretty massive pullback, though, Mitch. I don't think buying it up here is a good idea.
This is completely dumb now. What I'm talking about is that a lot of people do the opposite, right? They buy the stock when it's up 100%, then versus buying the stock when it was down, 60%, down 50%.
Yeah,
right?
Real quick, Mitch. Sorry to interrupt here, but chat talking about something that's going on here. ADMP, this is Ademus Pharmaceuticals. This is a halt fest. Real quick, I actually traded this back in 2014 and took the hugest loss of my career at that point on this ticker. This is not a stock that I'll ever trade again. Just because I don't believe in the company, but huge move here today. As Jay was saying in the chat, ADMP halted forever, unhalt, and then back into a halt. This is one of the things that I've noticed too here, Jay. So just be careful of this one if this is what you're trading.
No, I said yesterday, Ryan, I on swing trading, I commented, we need a book from Mitch. It's a wisdom book, just words of wisdom, because what we do here, what we do here is very important, and how transparent you are, how transparent Ryan is. That's something this industry does not have a lot. And our community is lucky to have you guys. And what I think we do here daily is just being upfront with everybody, saying, hey, we got something wrong and we know not to do it again. That is something not many people own up to. And that's what you two are setting the example to, is to to show others that you have to be more transparent with yourself and even others in a trading community.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like I'm just like the rest of you folks that are out here, right? I'm trying to like I'd love to be able to do this as like my only income stream for the rest of my life and all of that stuff. And I'm trying to do that. And I'm trying to outline some of the struggles that are going to happen to people that are trying to do that. Because it's not all gains and great days. There's a lot of really bad. Today's one for me. This is a really, really bad day. I haven't had a day this bad in quite a bit, but I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try and get something back.
Yeah. And that's what we'll always do here. Just keep battling through the hits, right? Just like every time, you might get down 7 times, but get back up that 8th time. You just might see yourself through to success. Let's keep going about it. Let's take a look at the market. How's the Qs looking now? The Qs coming down to 381. Remember I talked about earlier in the day where we cut down through that 381, or would we be up through the 382.50 spot? Now you're really starting to break down through that 381.50s, trying to hold 381s here as you see the 15-minute candle cut through and make a huge wick. Now let's see if it closes below 381 on the 15-minute candle. You got about still, what, 9 minutes, about 8 minutes left on that candle. You could also take a look at the 5-minute. This candle could go green, but the next candle you want to see if it goes green, especially back through this high, that 381.50s. If it can get back above that, yeah, the Qs can recover. But if you start using that as resistance, be careful, as we could go lower. And I'm seeing Microsoft be an important stock today. Will this come cracking through the 334s? That's one thing I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. Look at Apple's downside reaction here. Not what you want to see, right? Our leading stock to the upside starts to take a big hit to the downside. Tesla still leaking there. Google, one that's been looking really good, at least on the daily, now has gotten already a nice little leap up. Now could pull right back into this gap. So just be careful out there, team, as this looks like it also wants to come down here from the 132s. We'll see what happens on the SPY overall. SPY down there to 455s. And doesn't look that good here in the sectors overall. Overall, everything is in the red, but then from the open, industrials is the only sector in the green. So if you're looking for something that is in the green for the long side, I'd only be looking at industrials, at least in my outlook for the sectors today. We'll see what else is going on. But yeah, the XLI definitely being the kind of the outlier today for the nice little upside move. Caterpillar leading that action. You got Stanley Black & Decker that was getting a nice little uplift. That doesn't look too bad there.
They reported earnings yesterday after the bell.
Snap-on Tools. I think Ryan has some of those.
I have the actual tools, but not the stock.
There you go. LDOS. Stock looks pretty hot today in XLI. All right, we'll see what else is going on in industrials. I'm looking to see what kind of big stocks are in there, kind of making the move. All right, what's up? A little good amount there. Honeywell continuing after getting hit recently. Will GE finally break? It's coming right back down. Man, I should have just played that channel. I remember we were up to 118 and I was like, should I just short it back to the channel? Man, this is like the algo central.
Is that curly blue line the VWAP?
No, that's the
what's
9
above
EMA.
that channel?
That's a 9 EMA. This light blue line. Below here is the 50. So you guys see it. It's just in this channel, man. It's ridiculous, this channel. Like, look at this thing. It just comes through there. Like, the algos just trade this. This is what you call an algo controlled stock. Where it's just like, it's just almost like it's too perfect. They're making the pennies in between here. They're buying it down there at 100, selling it back at 106. Buying it back at 102, selling it back at the top. Buying it down there, selling it back to the top. And they're just playing the game. Just playing the game like throughout. And they make money while we just watch this stock just climb higher. So we'll see what happens in GE. But if you're a long-term investor, this is exactly what you want to see. A long-term trend to the upside that gets bought up on any pullback. Jeez, what a monster, man. TUP is coming back. Let's see.
TUP moved through the VWAP here.
There you go. Trying to get back there. It did go all the way down closer towards the 459 support. So at least that's a nice little clear out of the previous action going towards previous kind of resistance level of 450 around there. We'll see if it can recover. This has already made 1, 2, 3. This would be the 4th attempt move. That's where it gets to the point where I think it's just exhausted. So
can you throw up a chart of
that's just my outlook.
Cisco,
Yeah, I got
SYY?
you.
They reported earnings this morning. Stock is moving lower on some guidance that we got. Let me quickly give the numbers. EPS came in $1.34. Estimate was for $1.33. Sales did miss $19.73 billion. Estimate was for $19.85 billion. I believe the conference call is ongoing right now, and Cisco is forecasting below estimates. They see EPS to come in at $4.20 for fiscal 24 year, to $4.40 for fiscal 24 adjusted EPS. The estimate was for $4.48. That is why the stock is moving lower. Just thought I'd come in with that news. Also, if we could put up Uber, I think that's a good chart. We haven't talked about Uber yet, and I think it's a good morning to talk about Uber, the ride-sharing company. They reported better than expected earnings on EPS, 18 cents a share. The estimate was for a loss of a cent, I should say. Revenue came in just a tad bit light, 9.23 billion. Estimates for 9.33 billion. Q2 gross bookings 36.6 billion, up 16% year over year. It is important to note that this is their first income, their first operating profit. So they came in with a net income of 394 million, or 18 cents a share, compared to a net loss of 2.6 billion, or $1.33 per share in the same quarter last year. And this includes a 386 million net benefit from revaluations of Uber's equity investments. Now on Q3, they see Q3 gross bookings 34 billion to 35 billion, estimates for 33.98 billion. They see Q3 adjusted EBITDA of 975 million to 1.025 billion. And overall, their delivery for Q2 for gross bookings, 15.6 billion, up 12% year over year. Mobility gross bookings, 16.73 billion for Q2, up 25% year over year. And the stock is falling today. And even though the company CEO says, Derek Khosrowshahi on CNBC says, quote, company plans to be profitable every quarter going forward.
Just goes to show you it makes a big difference on what day you report, Nick. And that's what I think that's what is going on here. If this would have come in the report maybe, I don't know, 2 days ago when we were ripping higher, yeah, this would have ripped probably Uber higher, right? And it did rip it in the pre-market. That was kind of more the reaction that was positive there. And then, of course, comes to the open and it just gets smacked. We talked about this on pre-market prep before the open came, of how you were seeing stocks that had really good earnings this morning, yet getting smacked.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Mitch. I'm sorry. TUP is going absolutely crazy here. Whoever this was, yeah, it's going to halt right here. 566. What a move on TUP. That volume came in here, moved right through the VWAP. Whoever was buying this, someone said that they were long TUP. It was like 497. Man, what a trade on that. Mitch, yeah, right here. SS trades in TUP 487. Boy, you better be booking those gains. What a move. What a move. Sorry to interrupt, Mitch, but this, I mean, that was humongous move there on TUP.
So on TUP, what did we essentially see? We saw a shorter time frame washout. So let's say the 1 minute traders, the 5 minute traders, maybe even the 15-minute traders getting washed out, and the 1 hour traders making pretty much a really nice kind of dip buy there towards 5. And this is why I like 1 hour charts way better than I like the smaller time frame charts, because you can easily get stopped out in those charts. And then all of a sudden the stock comes back. This looked like a leak all morning, but if you look at it on the hourly, it just looks like a pullback towards hourly support. Hourly support sitting around the 485s. If you put the hourly resistance in yesterday's action, that's closer to the 450s. So you're looking for moves down there and you're catching dips versus buying rips. We'll see what happens. Tuppity tup tup tup.
MRKR, Matt, you're mentioning this. I don't really see anything going on here. Go back to top and wait that one out. Mitch, if you need to go back to what you were talking about, that's no
No,
problem.
you're good, man. I don't have much. I have more just warnings all over today, and I think that the cues show it all. It's just kind of just trappy action today, up and down moves. It's kind of what I expected. A real trappy day. And why is it real trappy? Because the truth is that people are waiting to see what the hell happens in Amazon and Apple. You know, if Apple just kills it, we know how the market likes to react. Tuppity tup tup tup. We'll see when it reopens, guys. Imagine shorting this name today. Yeah, might not want to get short momentum names right now, guys. Whatever happened to that RXRX? Ooh, going lower. Not doing anything. Q's coming back here towards the VWAP. Hendricks. We'll see if the Q's come all the way back to 382.50s. Look at that move. This is what I talk about where the chop chop can kill you, man. And it just seems like today we're getting this chop chop. I see it out there, Dano. It just seems like a lot of chop right now, and that's going to be difficult to trade through. Let's just be honest, especially if you're seeing like, let's see, is Baba China is collapsing? Can't wait to short Apple. That's going to be a legendary crash. I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, I don't think so. Good luck.
Put it this way. I would wish it too, but to tell you the truth, it probably wouldn't happen. Let's put it this way. I wouldn't bet on it. At least me. But hey, to each his own. And you know I'm a bear. I'm all about it, but I've learned you don't bet against Apple. At least that's what I've learned.
You don't bet against Apple, Amazon, the Magnificent Seven. You never bet against any of them.
Why? Because they're in everybody's portfolio that has one.
Well, that's what teenagers all want to own. They just want to own the Magnificent Seven, and that's it.
I mean, I can't blame them.
True.
Own quality, bro. Own
but
quality.
You have to be diversified. I think that's an important role to say too.
I don't know, Nick. I don't know about that anymore, man. I think diversification, especially when you're young, is, at least personally, I've seen it. It might not be the best way to go about it when you're young. Now, if you're older, yes, it's going to keep you away from destroying that hard work portfolio that you had for 20, 30 years, right? But if you're brand new and you're trying to go for growth, Nick, why not be in growth?
Maybe I'm just different.
No, you know what it is, Nick? You're not different. I think what you're doing is you're listening to what is in the books. The books tell us to diversify. I went to school for finance, Nick. I know what they tell us. You know what I mean? They tell us to look for sharp ratio and things like that. I used to calculate these things in my classes, and do I go and calculate them now? No, there's no point in me calculating that. Now, of course, you can, try to figure out. There you go. I'm coming to you, Ryan.
I don't have it up.
I'll put myself up for Tup. I got you. You focus on your thing. I got you on Tup. All right, Tup's back open there at 553. But yeah, it's just a classic. Education tells us to diversify there. But we can talk a little bit more about that. All right, Tup opens up and does a nice little wick down and then wick back up. So we'll see if it takes out back towards the top end of this. I have top end right now towards 571, low end at 532. So big spread there, right? About 50 cents. If you think about that in percentage terms, just this candle alone is 6.83%. So understand that when you're going into this stock, easily you're risking about like 12%, I would say. And that's one thing that I'd keep in mind. And that's one thing that I think a lot of traders sometimes just don't think about it in names like this. This is why I'm not in Tup right now. Do you want to risk 12% on a day like this? Hell no. I'll tell you that right off the bat, guys. Hell no. Can you make money? Yeah, you can make money.
I want to see if Tup pulls back to VWAP. I'm done trading today. Today is not my day. This has been one of the worst days I've had in all year. So I'm just gonna kind of sit the rest of this out.
Q's coming back here. Tup pulling back there pretty quickly, back down towards 520s here. We'll have to see if it bounces at 5, but that's just wicked, man. Like, that's just wicked. And I've actually been one of those traders that have been caught in a move like this where you get into the trade like right before the halt, and then the halt just deletes you. So I think that's my learning lesson. My I think it was about a $760 learning lesson that I had on one trade like this. Yeah, it taught me a lot. That was when I was really just getting started. When I had like the small accounts, like where I was like using like 2 or 3 grand, and man, losing like 60% of it in like 2 seconds. Oh, that'll teach you something.
Yeah, I'll teach you not to do it. Hopefully.
Yeah, man. It just teaches you like if you want to just hurt yourself, I mean, there's other ways to do it, man. Don't be doing that, bro. ADMP. Not looking that great. Yeah, that's cooling right back down. That's a hard stock to trade too. Holy crap. This thing did 3 halts. Now it's going to do the halt on the downside action. ADMP coming right back down. Q's now starting to come up, so we might get a reversal to that downside action. I talked about how Microsoft was a good read. Now you're seeing Microsoft really start to lift here. Now I'd be looking at the hourly candles, right? Because you're still kind of in a little bit of a bearish channel here and a bearish pattern for Microsoft. It really needs to kind of start really getting going here, but you got a little start move, right? And so now that I see this little lift, I'd be looking for pullbacks to kind of hold here closer towards and 335.50s. So 335.50s, I'd want to start seeing that hold now and start to just grind higher on Microsoft. As Microsoft grinds higher, I think the market could come back. I think that could help AMD just continue to push higher into their earnings. And you guys can keep watch now. If the Qs is really going to get going, I'd keep an eye out on like even like a stock like AI. It could start getting going all of a sudden as you see in the market come back. So this is when I start to focus on, hey, the market's coming back. I need to see Apple take lead. Let it be the leader. Let it push right back up there towards the 196.50s and push up there towards the 197s. Amazon, we want to see that kind of get the lift right back. Of course, they have earnings coming up, so a little pullback is not a bad thing. But let's see how it ends the day here if it starts to get stronger towards the end of the day. Q's back up there to 382.50s. Just like that. It makes a down move and it scares some people on the downside. Comes all the way back up, scares some people on the upside. So what is it doing? It's washing out some bulls here. And then it washes out some bears here. So it's just playing with a lot of people right now. Be careful out there.
Tup is bouncing after that big pullback. But the lesson there after the huge pull is just take the gains fast if you have them. Don't stay in it, especially for the halts.
Like this.
Yeah. Yep.
You know how sometimes you guys see me like, oh, I'm going to let the market work for me. That's very difficult on a stock like Tup.
Yep.
You got to sometimes just take the money.
You got to be active. You got to be actively doing it.
Yeah. That's why you have to be ready to be like hot keyed in, hot keyed out, kind of that kind of action, because the truth is it's that fast. Q's trying to get to that next level above the intraday high. It went right to it and stopped. So the intraday high I have right now 382.75. We went to 382.74. Right on the kisser there for the Q's. Crow talking about MGAM.
Yeah, it's a penny stock.
It's a penny. Yeah. Doesn't look too bad to try to maybe make a move back towards 1. These are the type of stocks that like to at least go back to 1, but always a pop and drop type of stock. So keep that in mind, right? Very rare does this keep going. So this is definitely another one that I'd look for a pop and drop. Q's trying to get through that level. Let's see if Microsoft really takes off here. That's a good outlook there. You've seen how Microsoft is really acting now. Look at the 5-minute candles. This is now what? This is now 20 minutes of straight upside action here for Microsoft. I'm going to look for a little bit of a pullback and then for buyers to step back in around 335.50s and then continue this higher. I might actually buy Microsoft if it could come back here to 335.50s on a little bit of a swing trade back to the upside. I could see it going to 340s today if it really wants to hold that. So would I risk from 335 to 334.50s, about a point to get a move back up there towards like 5 points or 4 points? Yeah, I'll take the shot. XOM trying to bottom. That sounds good to me, guys. I mean, you guys know I still have a piece of there. And my thing is look for the trend line to hold, right? And I'm going to delete some of these lines so that you guys can see these lines. But definitely that's what I'm looking for, is now for trend lines to hold on pullbacks.
QUBT, Smoke Tuna's calling. I'd be careful with this one, Tuna. This thing really just kind of broke down all day. Like, those quantum names were not great today after showing strength in the pre-market. We'll see if this bounces here.
Unity coming with earnings pretty soon, right? Let's take a look at the calendar, see when we got Unity. I know I was keeping a watch on it. I think it's Wednesday after the bell. Yep. Wednesday after the bell. Look at that. Not bad guess, Mitch. Trying to use my knowledge there. But Unity, definitely one to watch for, right? After the close Wednesday. Shopify after the close Wednesday. Tonight, AMD, Starbucks, EA, Pinterest, Allstate, Aflac. Yeah, definitely. I enjoy that. There was too much in my younger days. Devon Energy. What else we got there? That Match Group, the Mitch stock. We'll see what happens with that one. And then tomorrow morning, CVS, Kraft Heinz, Humana.
I was going to say, on CVS, we got news from them this morning.
What did CVS tell us?
CVS, according to the Journal, that they're going to shed 5,000 jobs in a cost-cutting push. The healthcare giant wants to trim corporate roles and spending on travel and its use of consultants.
So they just say they want to cut workers so they can spend more on traveling?
No, they want to cut travel, cut back on travel.
Okay. All right. I was like, yo, that is pretty messed up. You get what I mean? Like, I just heard that wrong, but I was like, that is pretty wicked if that's what they're doing. It's like, oh yeah, our executives need to travel, so we're gonna fire the guy at the corporate office. Okay, it's the opposite. No, the corporate guys will stay.
I need to travel
executive. That's what it is, Nick. That's what it is, man. You're spending too much money traveling, Nick. What did I tell you, man?
I don't
travel. Your trip to New York, man, was so expensive, man.
We drove, so it wasn't really that much. It wasn't really bad. I didn't have any airport issues.
I was driving.
We're talking about airport issues. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, we just drove right from Pennsylvania, about 6 hours.
There you go. That's not too bad, though. 6 hours. That's not too bad. All right. It is not looking bueno. It's not one of those days, at least in the swings, where they're looking good. Everything is pretty much in the red from the open, and I'm just here on like protection mode, like, and not opening new positions, because in days like this is where I really try to be careful. If you're noticing your positions not continuing to gain, that's when I'm going to be on alert for rotation against me. I want to be in industrial names today, but I don't have deer anymore.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's, I don't really consider this important, but I think it's worth noting that this morning, Oppenheimer raised their S&P target to 4,900 year-end this year. They're the bullish on the street. They top Fundstrat's Tom Lee, who's now at 48.25. But they lower their earnings projection for 2023. They take them down $10. They see 220 from 230. It is important to note, that's from John Stolfus over at Oppenheimer. It is important to note minimum targets for 3,900. That's Mike Wilson of Morgan Stanley, Sean Simmons from UBS. The average target's 43.72, and the median target is 44.50. So we'll see how 2023 shapes out.
What a wicked move there. And Tup went up there for a slight second.
Top on CNBC right now, by the way.
591 and then right back down to 528. So get ready because, of course, it being on CNBC is going to have this stock moving pretty fast on comments. So you got to be careful and maybe tune in if you're trading Tup.
Short sellers for the month, according to S3 Partners, down 348% for the year, down 171%.
We'll see if Tup holds the 550 here. Does it break? 550 is the only area I could see it like kind of holding in right now. But that's just my outlook. You guys take everything I say with a grain of salt and choose your own levels, of course.
So, Mitch, what do you think? Oppenheimer doing the right move? FOMO, fear of missing out, going to 4,900, or do you think they should have stayed where they were at 4,400?
Well, Nick, they just want to be viewed as the outlier, I think, in that call right there, right? It's when you raise that much and you just try to get in front of somebody else. I think that's just what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to be the bullish outlier. So it is what it is, man. I think that I think outlooks like that are always going to be a little bit kind of rosy because at the end of the day, they don't want to be telling their investors that things are horrible, right? Let's just be honest.
That's what Wilson did before he capitulated last week.
Yeah, but the truth is that, I mean, just look at the market, right? I mean, everybody's going to say that this is going to keep going towards new all-time highs soon enough. How far are you away from that? You're not far at all.
No.
You're way farther from the bottom than you are from the top now. So at this point, it's almost like, what are you waiting for if you don't start calling that, right? That's what a lot of people are going to do.
But what do you think about the people at like 4,100, 4,200? Do you think they're still in the we were wrong camp, or they need to up their target? Like BMO, they're Brian Belsky, 45.50. That's a pretty decent target. That's like I could consider that a median target.
Yeah, I think that those guys are actually looking at that. We're rising in a bubble environment here, but there's still a lot of things underneath the hood that aren't looking great. And I think that that's the important part there, is that those outlooks were thinking of recession and things like that, right? Is that what we're seeing? We're still not seeing the consumer slow down, and we might never see it slow down. Let's just be honest.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think the recession will come. I think that it might come. It just might come later down the line. Why? Because you'd be surprised about how much money people have nowadays. And that money supply can last a lot longer than most think. And then the problems can leak through. But for me right now, that's why I'm so bullish, because I feel like this market just wants to keep just getting slowly towards new all-time highs. I don't think it's going to be as strong as it was.
The market is going to try to suck in as many bulls as possible before it reverses and crushes everyone to the lows.
And also crush all the bears, right? If it just keeps climbing higher, all those people that are like, oh no, it's coming right back down to 400. They eventually give up. And right when they give up, it's usually when the market's like, ha, ha, ha.
Do you think earnings will have a big play in it if earnings do come down? Because earnings are holding up better than expected.
Nick, what happened?
I think the bars were lowered for these earnings.
I don't know about that. I could see not all stocks. I'll say not all. I think the bar was set high for a good bit, but the bar has come down. But what do you think of? Do you think 220 on this year would be good for S&P earnings? 220, or do you think are we more looking like 230, 240?
I think that, remember, when we're looking at earnings outlooks, a lot of it is going to be looking forward, right? And I think that that's where we have to kind of think about what kind of companies are getting that upside lift and what isn't. And so the ones that are getting the lift is because just straight technology plays, right? And those are the ones that are, I think, continuing to get their appreciation on their earnings. For the S&P 500, earnings are coming down, yet what stocks need to do is just meet expectations, and that has continued the rosy outlook. Is that the truth? No, because what you're saying is the truth, Nick. Earnings are coming down, yet we're expecting stocks to keep going up. Well, the truth is that eventually that turns, right? Where the earnings do affect the stocks, and then this turns. Right now, that doesn't matter, Nick. Even if earnings are going down, it's not going to matter until you break the bull. And I think that's what Ryan's saying too,
Yeah.
that they're going to just keep
Yes.
riding that until it creates such a monster of a bull, and then they break it a lot of the times. The market loves to hurt where it can hurt the most. Ryan mentioned it a little earlier. I've heard that from Dennis Dick, and I love that comment. It really does play into it. And it also happens also in the intraday action. Sometimes you'll see the market just come really down because everyone's just bullish that day. They're just like, man, we had a good Google report. We had a good Microsoft report. They're coming right back up, things like that. And then the market gets hit. You're like, what the hell happened today? Well, the truth is the market loves to hurt where it can hurt the most.
Yes, but it's very interesting. The consumer discretionary for Q2 EPS estimates up 36.3%, where technology is only up 0.3%. And energy, the biggest laggard, down 48.5%.
That's interesting, man. That's where the analysts might have it wrong, right? We'll see what happens. Microsoft is staying strong now, up there to 337.83. Did I get my 335 pullback? No, just didn't even get it. So the Q's just getting real strong here. Reversal from the bottom. Does it mean that it's going to keep ripping to the upside? I think you're going to start seeing a little bit of a pullback eventually here. That could give us a chance to get this pullback. We'll see if the market can just stay strong. How are the banks doing today? Banks are getting hit, so that might actually affect the SPY in the long run and not climb as much as the Qs can climb today back to the upside.
All right, folks, that's going to be it for me for today. I will join you tomorrow, but I'll be gone for the rest of the week on my trip. See you in the morning. Don't play binary events.
All right, Ryan's getting out of here. He's wrapping it up, team. We're going to get on out of here. We'll get you guys over to live. Benzinga Live coming up next. AB should be starting up in just about 8 minutes here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Looks like overall stock action still showing that leakage, at least from my swing trade action. We'll look to see if XOM finally catches the dip and gets right back above. I want to see it close back above kind of, let's say like kind of the 106.25 for XOM. But anywhere above 105 or 106 still looking good. We just really need to see it take out this high here on Monday, the 107.86. That's going to be the push higher. Of course, you're going to see a little bit of a mix move here. I am in Chevron here, and that's one thing that I will keep an eye out for to see if I can go ahead and get some more. But I did get stopped out just recently on this one, so I want to get back into this. So it looks like I got out at 161.90s. My stop got hit there, but that's just because I wanted to stick to 162 right now. But it is pulling back a little bit further here. Might look for it to come back towards closer to 160 and take a shot there for the gap down support. We'll see what happens there on Chevron. Overall Qs coming back there. NVIDIA starting to come back there. AMD's still strong. Earnings play, guys. Going into earnings, a lot of times you're going to get stocks that get strong. AMD, a perfect example of that stock today. And it had a nice pattern too. So I think that, you know, these are the type of plays that are red to green type of plays where the stock goes red, then gets into the green, starts to hold the VWAP. You saw it hold multiple times there. It did about 2 flag patterns on the 1 minute. So you can see a flag pattern here and then another flag pattern just after that where it just popped up right back to the resistance, flagged again, and then took off again. And I think that that's when you need to be trying to catch these types of moves on pullbacks, opportunities, especially back down by the VWAP. Looked really nice there as AMD's up there towards 117.28. Nice move there for AMD. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Any last outlook from my man, Nick Brown? Anything you want to add?
I'll just say it's been one heck of a week, and it is August, so I don't want to, spill any bad news, but this July was my last full month with you guys, given I will be heading back to school towards the end of August. Yes, I am counting down. We'll have some personal announcements, some newses towards the middle of August, so I don't want to scare anybody, or it's not goodbye forever, but You only have a few more weeks left with me, about 2 weeks left with me. And so I do want to say thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Ryan, for allowing me to be part of live trading. And it's not goodbye forever, but we'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. But no, yes, it is going to be bittersweet to leaving you guys every day.
Who goes back to school, bro?
I know,
goes back
right?
to school, right? Like, who does that thing?
Yes, it's okay, but
I got him, Raz. I'll take care of him, man. Don't worry.
Yes, Mitch and Ryan will be with you, but we will speak to you tomorrow. I will have some more further details leading everything for a final goodbye here in a few weeks. But just wanted to put that early announcement out because I know questions are coming. Is when's he going back to school? School starting back up. My first day for my last year of high school, I should say, being a senior in high school, is Friday, August 25th. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and more personal announcements and news later in the month. But loving the comments. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you, Mitch, for everything. And that's a wrap for today, but we'll see you tomorrow. Definitely. I will see you tomorrow. I have no plans on taking off between tomorrow and any rest of the time, because I don't want to miss this time with Mitch and with Ryan. So there's that.
Hey, it happens to us all. And Ryan had a little bit of a tough day. We'll keep learning. And I think that that's the great thing that Nick is doing right now, is learning young, right? And I think you got some comments in the chat there. You should definitely check out Nick. A lot of love in the chat for you. And that's what it's all about, right? That's what we're here at Benzinga to try to give a lot of opportunities for anybody out there that wants to continue growing on their financial journey. If you guys want to join the team, by any means, reach out, right? Just let us know what you want to do specifically to make Benzinga better. And that's going to give you an upper leg. That's what Nick came in with. He said, you know what, man, I'm a big news guy. I'm ready to help you guys find the news, get to the news, and bring you guys a great analysis. That's what he's been doing, and he's going to continue doing it. Like always, you guys can reach out to him, News by Nick. You see the underscores. You guys see his tag right there.
Or even email me.
Good follow.
I check emails all day.
Exactly.
Mitch knows that. Mitch knows that. I'm on emails all day, Twitter all day. I message with Mitch probably 3, 4, 5 times a day. So yes.
There you go. You got a lot of people giving you some good follows and giving you some good love. So always good to have you, Nick. We'll have you back tomorrow. And I will be here like always, team. I'll see you a little bit later today at 3:30 as we get towards the close. We'll see what happens then. We'll have Microsoft just continue going and climb this market back. That was one of my indicators to watch today. Why? Because it's one of the leading stocks, right? And if that's going to keep leaking, it eventually affects the market. But if we can catch the lift back in there, just even the smallest lift there can go ahead and give some relief to tech. And you're seeing AMD stocks like that get a little bit relief today, get that push into the earnings. So be careful out there with that AMD chart a little later today as their earnings come in. We'll see what happens. Like always, Nick Brown, Mitch Hoch here for you guys. Money Mitch, always going to be with you guys, and we'll keep pushing. If you guys want to check out Moo, like always, you guys can go ahead and check it out. It's in the description below. Now to bring you over to Benzinga Live with AB. And Nick, you going to get over there?
Yes,
I know you'll
be
over
there.
there.
11:45. 11:45.
Look at my guy. He don't stop for you guys. He don't stop here for you guys. So definitely smash the like. Hope you guys had a great time here on Live Trading. We'll have you back next time, guys. Have a good one. And like always, keep practicing on your skills. We got a lot more for you guys right here on Benzinga. Let's get you guys over now.